Good evening, folks. This is Deb. Actually, I should say good morning, folks. Um, so while I'm sad that the Indiana Fever lost this game in overtime, 107 to 98, I think anyone who's an Indiana Fever fan has to consider this season a huge success. Okay, and the next step in this team's eventual position as one of the elite teams in the league. Okay, they they are missing five players who were technically uh, a very huge part of what was considered to be a championship year, and none the least of which is Caitlin Clark. And you look back at this game and you wonder what could have been different had she been on the floor. You can look at the whole series and wonder what could have been different had she been on the floor. Now, you know, and I'm sorry because I'm still, recovering, but um, there are a lot of people out there now, the headlines out there about Aaliyah Boston saying the Fever's perfect without Caitlin Clark. That is not what she said. Okay. But I'm not going to go into detail on that tonight because I just want to wrap up this game. I've got to get myself to bed for work tomorrow. But the Fever did not make it easy on the Aces, in spite of the fact that they were playing in Vegas. In fact, it went into overtime. Okay. The problem was having enough of what it took to get past the overtime at the end of the day. That's really, really where we were. So let's look at some numbers from this game. We're gonna obviously start with the Fever. Odyssey Sims, who has been great throughout this series, okay? 27 points, 2 rebounds, 6 assists. Natasha Howard, 16 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists. Kelsey Mitchell, 15 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists. Lexi Hull, 12 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists. Aaliyah Boston, 11 points, 16 boards. That is massive. 2 assists. That's another double-double for Aaliyah Boston. And then off the bench, Shea Petty, 13 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists. Ariel Powers, 2 points, 1 rebound, no assists. Brianna Turner, 2 points, 3 rebounds, 1 assist. Total of 98 points. On the other side of the ledger, I have to keep saying this. Wilson, 35 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists. Jackie Young, 32 points, 4 rebounds, 10 assists. Chelsea Gray, 17 points, 2 rebounds, 6 assists. Melissa Smith, 5 points, 1 rebound, no assist. And then off the bench, they had a few players. Lloyd with 8.6 rebounds, 1 assist. And Evans with 5 points, no rebounds, 2 assists. So, again, Jackie Young has been the model of consistency, I think. But let's talk about this, okay? We have the off season now. It's over for the Fever. The Aces will go on to face the Phoenix Mercury. Now, I am personally pulling for the Aces because I want DeQuitta Bonner to not be a champion. Okay, I just don't. I did when she came to the Fever. I will admit that I fell into that. I fell into that whole let's win one for the wily veteran. Okay, but she proved herself to be not a team player, and I don't know, just not a person of character. So I'm totally rooting for the Aces on this one. Okay, we're gonna follow this series, as part of the show. We're not going to focus um, too much on it, but we will see who wins the championship this year because none of this playoff season turned out the way anyone thought it was going to turn out. Okay. At the beginning of the year, everybody had this preconceived notion that the Liberty and the Lynx were the shoo-ins. Okay. And the Lynx ended the season as the number one seed and the favorites to take this whole thing. And they were knocked out by the Phoenix Mercury. As far as the Fever is concerned, after the loss of Caitlin Clark, that would have been difficult enough just to get this deep into the playoffs. But then losing, four other players and then Damiris Dantas at the end made it all that much more difficult. So credit should be given to Stephanie White. I know I'm going to piss some people off, but I don't really care at this point. To Stephanie White for keeping her team together, and this team for showing grit and determination and resilience. And that is, honestly, despite talent level, we all know we need that to win. It's pretty clear, okay, that this could have been very different had we had Sophie Cunningham, Caitlin Clark, okay, Sydney Colson, and the rest of the team on the floor. Okay, it's pretty clear this could have been different. But grit and determination go a long way to winning a championship. Because as you go down that path, it gets harder and harder. It doesn't get any easier. So let's credit the Indiana Fever for everything they've been able to do. I'm not going to listen to grousing out there, okay? Because no one ever gave them this much of a chance to get this far into the playoffs. They were the Cinderella story, my equivalent of the Red Sox 1967 Impossible Dream Team. And they almost pulled it off, okay? They ended up taking the Aces into overtime in Vegas. And they defied the odds several times through this playoff series. So, again, I got a long day tomorrow. I'm going to wrap this up. But I will be back tomorrow night after work. We will talk, okay, tomorrow night after work in a little bit more detail. And then we're going to take a look at what the final schedule is, and we will cheer on the Aces and hope that they beat the Phoenix Mercury. I will talk to you guys tomorrow. I hope you have a good sleep. And I hope I do too, now that my eyes are wide awake. See you then.